First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
Yesterday was a very big day up on Smith Hill. Yesterday, Wktv celebrated their 75th anniversary.
Happy birthday.
It was 75 years ago. Thursday, technically, this radio station signed on 99 years ago.
Wow.
WKTV this week is celebrating their 75th. And they have a big anniversary celebration planned for the 5 p.m. hour tonight. Let me go to Steve Mcmurray right now up at KTV. Good morning.
Good morning, Bill. How are you?
Gotcha. Doing well. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's I like to tell people I've been there 22 of these 75. So I don't know if I can take any credit for the success, but at least I kept it going, right?
You did.
Yeah, it's still around, so that's good, Steve.
They always say everything's good until the kids take over, and then it just goes right down the tube. So you've not allowed that to happen, and many would say it's bigger and better now than ever before. I mean, you have a lot of stuff going on there. Tonight, you guys are planning something special.
Yeah, so when we were talking about how to celebrate 75, what do we do? In 1999, when they celebrated the 50th, one of the things they did was a really big black tie gala that was very well done. But it just wasn't in the cards this time because when we were trying to figure out, it's almost like who do you invite to a wedding or a graduation party? Well, when the whole community is your family, it's very difficult to cut that off at a certain point.
Right.
So, it sort of hit us that everyone in the community has come to know us through the television and our other platforms. So why not celebrate it that way? So everybody can be part of it that way. So, in lieu of the 5:00 news tonight, I think we're still going to have some weather hits in there because it is still it's now December. But yeah, we're gonna take a look back. You're going to see some old footage that perhaps you haven't seen in a long time. You're going to hear from some folks who we haven't heard from in a while. And then there's we do have some business leaders and elected folks coming up that want to show their appreciation, which is very much appreciated on our end. But it's going to be just a really low-key, relaxed. I've always said, and we've always said, it's the community station. So this is how we're going to roll with it. When I get a new hire, I tell them, I'm like, stations across the country have followings, but this it's different, and the community takes very big ownership and pride in our station, and that can be a big responsibility, but it's also one that we take on with a lot of pride, quite honestly.
So I got to tell you, I think we all have different memories, right? Of whether it be just watching. I mean, obviously you're in a different scenario now. You're a part of keeping the lights on, but as a kid, you can think about whether it be Lyle Bosley or Sandy Arn or Dick Lawler and Bill Warden, all those guys from way back, or even further back. It's very interesting because TV at that point was really these were the pioneer days. This is where they were defining what the news would be like. When is the weather traditionally on a TV news station? And that was an amazing time to be a part of local TV.
No question. And I think when you look back in some of our archives, to get a TV station in an area the size of Utica as early on in the advent of TV was a pretty big deal. There were a lot of larger cities who hadn't quite, in 1949, who hadn't quite gotten into the TV world yet. So for us to get it was certainly a big deal. I'll give credit to the folks that were there before I was. I mean, expanding into areas that quite frankly some larger markets didn't expand into, going into the noon broadcast, morning broadcast, getting a full-fledged meteorologist on staff as opposed to just reading whatever the National Weather Service sent down. So there was a lot of trademarks and hallmarks that KTV put into action, and quite honestly, still revered by folks in all parts of the country. We talked to a lot of our national sales folks, based in New York City, and folks know about WKTV, and it's not just because of Dick Clark, although that's pretty impressive too.
Yeah, I was trying to think of your most famous. It would have to really be Dick Clark would be the most famous to ever come out of KTV, I would assume.
Yeah, I think so. But then you look, we'll see a lot of the faces today. I mean, and look, when you see 4 or 5 days a week, Ryan Nobles is at Capitol Hill. That's a big source of pride for us. I mean, and it should be for the area too, right? I think, when kids decide that they're going to go to journalism school or whatnot, and then they want to take a first job, and then they say, well, are you going to go to Utica or Watertown? It's like, yeah, you probably should, and because you cut your teeth and you do everything, you name it, and to a person, our alumni will say that very thing, that they learned more in the year or two they spent with us than perhaps the larger stations they're at now, and that honestly makes us feel good. It really does.
Yeah. And there are, speaking with Steve Mcmurray from WKTV tonight at 5:00 in the 5:00 hour. They'll have an anniversary celebration tonight, and it'll be worth tuning in and watching. So memories of things. I remember, KTV was still film. And for you and I, we understand that that's a big deal when they move to tape. And you saw it in the quality, but imagine what it was like in the editing room when you're cutting tape to try to get everything ready for the news, or their weather forecasts were done with, I believe it was like a magnetic map that Lyle Bosley would put the high pressure on. And it just would stick there, as compared to the incredible graphics and everything you have today. It's really amazing how far all of this has come.
Oh, absolutely. The H's and L's for high and low pressure, they look like Plinko chips. But and now I think the business and that with technology has changed more in the past 5 years than it did in the previous 50. And we're, we've got to stay on top of it, because you don't get to 75 by doing the same thing over and over and over. You got to be able to pivot. You got to be able to adjust and adapt. And that's what we've been doing. And that's what the next 75 is going to look like. But it's tough, because there are folks that will always think, oh, you're just a TV station. Well, not anymore. You guys are in the same boat, right? Yeah. Content creators, and you got to be on any platform that folks can get you on. And that's how we're going to roll for the next well, I won't be there all 75, I don't think. But
Well, and then I wanted to say, by the way, Mike says, I think in honor of the 75th, Steve should do the show as Bozo the Clown sometime. That was a big deal. That was local. And was Uncle Salty a KTV show or a UTR show? Do you remember that program? I don't think it was a KTV show. I don't believe Uncle Salty. That might have been UTR. He was like there was Pappy Druitt too.
Was he a local? I mean, I do know he has relatives local, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't think he was. So, and again, a trivia question. Most folks know, but Ed Whitaker was actually Bozo the Clown, not Lyle. A lot of folks thought Lyle was Bozo, but it was Ed Whitaker.
I remember losing $2,500. Somebody bet me $2,500 Lyle Bosley was still alive while I was on K-Rock. And sure enough, Lyle Bosley was still alive. And the station had come up with $2,500. That was good. The other thing I remember, Steve, is coming up there as a part of the high school choir. They would bring choirs in, and you would go to KTV and you'd perform. Each school would have a half an hour, and you'd do your songs on TV. That was a pretty cool event. I mean, there's a lot of things that were community related that we all remember.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many folks will tell us about high school choir. And my father was a music teacher for 40 plus years.
Wow.
So that was my first foray. And I went up as a little kid when he took various choirs from Frankfurt up there. that's a lost art, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, with the technological adaptations we have, I don't really have room for big choirs in the studio anymore. But those are, those are things that I think in this world of streaming and apps and all this other stuff, you're seeing a lot of stations take a step. We talked about it when we launched the KTV Plus there, taking a step back and almost going more traditional. Because quite honestly, a lot of the viewers, that's what they're looking for. There's so much out there that I think, folks just want a little bit of sense of normalcy.
Yeah.
And that was part of it.
That really was part of it. Were those live? I guess they weren't live. We went up during the day, so they must have been filmed. And then you'd watch it at like 5 o'clock at night. Each night would be a different school district. It was a really cool, but there were so many of those things. And then here you are at 75 years. So we say congratulations.
Well, I appreciate that. Congratulations on 99. That's start planning now for the centennial.
It'll be big, so we're told. Next year is going to be pretty big. I don't know what that means. I believe I'll be fired by then, but still,
Well, I hope not.
Let's hope not. So,
but that's seriously, when we got into our year 74, and it's strange because it's December 1st of 24, so we're actually going to do some stuff throughout this coming year.
Right.
Because that will be the 75th year, but it comes up a lot quicker than you think it might. And so,
yes.
That's my nickel's worth of free advice.
I appreciate it. Well, listen, we'll be watching tonight at 5. Thank you, Steve McMurray, and everybody at KTV. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate the opportunity. Talk soon.
Talk to you soon.
All right,
Thank
buddy.
you.